particular kind of fear that doesn't look like fear at first. It doesn't scream, it doesn't run, it doesn't even admit that it's afraid. Instead, it's this kind of fear that shows up in disguise as defensiveness, as denial, as hostility, as even silence. It shows up in the way people explain away injustice or avoid certain conversations, or even shut down when they feel seen in ways they didn't expect. This fear, the fear we don't name, is at the heart of Lewis Gordon's idea of Black consciousness. And it raises the question for this essay: why do some people fear Black consciousness? What is so threatening about it? And what would it mean to respond to that fear? Not with more fear, but with something closer to honesty. Gordon argues that Black consciousness is not simply being a Black person who is aware. It's something deeper, more existential. It is the moment when someone who has been historically treated as an object insists on being recognized as a subject, a full human being who thinks, feels, decides, questions, resists, and dreams. Black consciousness is that turning point when a person asserts, "I am not what your society assumed me to be." In this sense, Black consciousness is not about only identity. It is a critique, a philosophical interruption, a challenge to the world as it has been arranged. And that challenge for many people is frightening. In Gordon's language, anti-Black societies depend on a crisis of appearance. Certain people must appear inferior for the system to feel stable. Black consciousness disrupts that arrangement. It reveals the architecture of racism, not as individual prejudice, but as a structure that shaped everything: law, language, opportunity, even imagination. For many people, realizing this feels like the ground is shifting beneath them. Their understanding of the world and of themselves becomes unsettled. Fear rises not because Black consciousness is dangerous, but because truth is destabilizing. If Black consciousness exposes injustice, then the next logical question becomes, so what do you intend to do about it? Many people fear that question. Responsibility tends to be very heavy. Action requires more courage. It requires giving something up: comfort, certainty, old habit of thought. Some people intellectually agree with justice, but emotionally fear what justice might require of them. Even people who claim to believe in equality may rely on racial hierarchies to feel secure, feel successful, feel superior. Black consciousness removes that illusion. It says, your value does not come from being above someone else. For those who have been raised inside a system of comparative worth, that is terrifying. Not because Black consciousness devalues them, but because it forces them to imagine value differently. Many people see themselves as not racist. Black consciousness exposes how racism can operate through structures and habits we participate in every day. It creates guilt, it creates shame, discomfort. Some respond with humility, but others with defensive fear. I didn't do anything. Why are you blaming me? I don't want to think about this. But Gordon makes a distinction. Black consciousness is not about individual accusation. It's about collective self-understanding. Still, that distinction doesn't always prevent the fear. So therefore, how do we address the problem? The question becomes not only why do people fear Black consciousness, but how we might respond to that fear in a constructive way. I propose, create space for truth without humiliation. People shut down when they fear being shamed for what they don't know. Education about anti-Blackness must be honest and uncompromising, but also compassionate enough to keep people present in the conversation, right? Humility must be encouraged, not punished. Black consciousness is not about replacing one hierarchy with another. It is about dissolving the very logic of hierarchy in society. One of the most powerful responses to fear is clarity. The liberation of Black people is not the oppression of non-Black people. Fear thrives on false equations, as if equality were a threat and justice a danger. Part of addressing fear is articulating a wider version of the human, one in which dignity expands, not contracts, and where more people are seen fully. Guilt freezes people. Responsibility mobilizes them. A society built on denial cannot change. A society built on accountability can. The goal is not to make people feel bad about the past, as I said, it is to empower them to participate in a better future. Black consciousness is not a story of blame, it is a story of becoming, of the future. Ultimately, inviting people to see themselves more honestly, because when the truth is, fear often comes from the threat of self-recognition. But self-recognition is the beginning of ethical life. When someone confronts the gap between who they believe they are and who they actually are and act, that is not the crisis, that is the opportunity. Gordon teaches that consciousness is the capacity to reflect, revise, and renew. Helping people understand this can dissolve the fear surrounding Black consciousness. Ultimately, this is the final part of the exam question, and it requires honesty. So here's my honest answer. No, I do not fear Black consciousness. But not because I am somehow above, the fears I've described. Not because I have a perfect understanding, not because I am exempt from the structure I critique. I do not fear Black consciousness because I see it as an expansion of what it means to be human, not a contraction. Black consciousness teaches us that humanity is not fixed, it's not owned, it's not defined by those who hold the power. It reveals that our identities are shaped in relation to one another. It challenges us to imagine freedom not as private possession, but as something we build collectively. So if anything, what I fear is the opposite. A society that refuses consciousness, that refuses reflection, that refuses to see itself clearly. That's the world I fear. I fear a world where we prefer illusion to truth, because illusion has never protected anyone for long. That's the issue. Black consciousness to me is not a threat, it is the light. It illuminates what has been hidden, and in doing so offers the possibility of transformation. The fear surrounding Black consciousness is real, but it is not inevitable. Fear is a beginning, it's never the ending. It's a signal that something in us is being asked to grow. And growth, like the jazz that you're hearing, or like the philosophy that our professor teaches, or like humanity itself, it's an improvisation. It asks us to listen, to respond, to leave space for others, to build something new from the fragments of what came before. Black consciousness is not only a confrontation, it is an invitation. It's an invitation to confront history, to confront ourselves, and to imagine a world where no one has to appear as anything less than fully human. That world, unfortunately, is not here yet, but consciousness is the first step. And fear, once understood, is the first thing we can let go. Thank you.